So let me show you something that most people don't know. People have been talking about particulate filters being on their cars ever since 2020 or so on the 992s and the 718 4-liter platforms. We've never gotten particulate filter assemblies here in North America. Ignore all the part number descriptions that you've ever seen from Porsche or any talk on social media about particulate filter assemblies. It has never happened until now on this 992.2 platform. These 992 GT3 headers have the same catalytic converter cores as the cores on a 992.1 Carrera cat assembly. These are cat cores. These are not particulate filter assemblies. Same thing on all the 718 4-liter cars with over-axle pipes where the particulate filter assemblies would be in. So some education for you. These are all cats. Everything that you've gotten on a cat is either a secondary cat core or isn't there at all. And this is the first time we've gotten a true particulate filter assembly here in North America.
Now, what's the difference in terms of how they look? How can you prove that?
So you can see clearly the difference between the open cells of a cat core, and if you look at every other cell inside of this particulate filter assembly, it's actually blocked off to trap the particulates so that they can actually burn off.
So the bottom line is, in the past, they're saying that they have particulate filters. They kind of don't. They just double up on the other filter.
Yeah.
Now, with this regulatory on the 992.2, we actually do have true particulate filters, and we can prove it right now. I'm going to stick a camera in there, a super tiny camera, and you're going to see each one of those cells is actually blocked off, indicating that it is, in fact, a true particulate filter. That's awesome. I didn't know that.
So just like how a lot of people don't realize we've not gotten particulate filter assemblies until now, a lot of people don't realize that the valve control has changed on Porsche models since about 2020 here in North America, 19 over in Europe. The valves are now electronically actuated. They used to be, since the beginning of Porsche valve exhaust systems, they used to be a spring actuated, vacuum actuated valve. Now, these vacuum actuated valves are gone on the 992s. Now the valve opening is being controlled by electronic actuator here, which opens the valves progressively over a period of RPM range. So on every 992 model, even if you have PSE and you have PSE pressed and you hear the exhaust valves open at idle, when you get the car under load and you're driving, those valves will shut completely to meet European sound restrictions and then start opening at 4,000 RPM progressively until 5,000 RPM. So you never have valves open experience until you hit 5K and above on 992 models. So you have to keep that in mind when you're changing the exhaust components, so you can increase that valve's closed sound level as well, or cater towards a valve control kit or an ECU software update to change the PSE programming so that when it's active, it's open all the time and you can have all your sound level when you want it to happen.
Just for a point of reference, like I think my R8 certainly has this, right?
Yeah.
So I push a button that you guys, put in the garage door opener.
Yeah.
I push it, I can be at 1,500 to 8,000, and it's the exact same sound, based on the revs, blah, 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 blah. Mm-hmm. And the new 992, you're saying, because they're all the regulations, I'm guessing, they made it so that they can program this now.
Oh yeah.
And so it'll abide by whatever law or whatever country,
exactly.
et cetera. That's
I
interesting.
have to pass sound dB at this distance, under this RPM, under this amount of load. They have to pass all these restrictions in Europe, and this gives them full control to do that. And unfortunately, over here in North America, where we don't really have that, we get the short end of the stick. So we have to work around that from an exhaust development perspective, or change the control itself in order to have them open all the way.
The bottom line for me is, I thought as soon as I hit that open valve, it was game on. I didn't know that that's not the case.
Unfortunately not. Unfortunately not. And now it's always, you can have it at certain RPMs and it's only open partially. Like these vacuum actuated valves, it's just open or closed. There is no in between. So you have to keep that in mind when you're driving your car and you're like, well, I don't have a whole lot of sound, even though my valves are open, or I don't really hear my valves when they open. That's because they're opening over a period of RPM and the percentage grows.
So not all change is good. My vote, I like the old school.
We like old school too. That's our preference.
All right, so what do we have on the table here?
So quickly, introduction to the products that you see here. We've got a stock GT3 muffler and tip assembly. Your stock headers are still on the car. We've got our valved exhaust system here for a character and tone change, headers for overall volume and sound level, your non-valved catback muffler replacement on the car, as well as our full exhaust packages in both valved and non-valved configurations.
All right, so it gets louder as we go here.
Yeah. So what we have here is our valved exhaust system to start. This is the least overall volume that you can do on a 992 GT3 platform. This is concentrating on a smoother, richer tone quality with still allowing you to have a difference in overall volume between closed and open with the factory valves in play. Now, if your goal is a smoother, richer tone and keeping valves, this is a fantastic OEM Plus option to spice up your driving experience. But in the event that you want more volume while also having that character and tone, you can get rid of the factory valve function. You don't have to wait at that point for the factory valves to open at 4,000 to 5,000 RPM. The non-valved exhaust on Larry's car here is a very good return on investment in overall volume and character and tone all the way through the RPM range. What's the sacrifice? You don't have that ability to tone things down under 3,000 RPM and be nice and conservative on highway. It's for the more enthusiastic driver that lives in the mid-range to top end of the RPMs. Now, what if you want the overall sound level of a non-valved catback, but you still want the ability to close the valves and be nice and conservative at lower RPMs? You can start with our header replacements here. With the factory muffler on the car, you still have a very, very quiet valves closed, but the valves open flow path on the stock muffler is reasonably unrestrictive. The headers are a huge cork on volume and power. So if you replace the headers on this car, you will feel the difference, but you'll hear the difference big time when those valves start to open between 4,000 to 5,000 RPM. The volume of a header change on this car in the higher RPMs is a big difference, more so than doing just a rear exhaust, but it doesn't have that smoother, richer tone quality. It's an amplifier of the character that you already have. So let's say you want to combine things together. You want to have a net effect of, you want overall performance, you want overall sound level, you want that character and tone change all at the same time. Then you're going to be doing a complete exhaust replacement on the car. We have our valved configuration here, and we've got our non-valved race exhaust configuration here. And this will net a much stronger overall volume change than any of these modular components by themselves, including the headers by themselves. You're getting a much bigger sound level change, but you still have that ability to route the exhaust through this smaller muffler and reduce overall volume inside the car and outside the car. The race exhaust is not for the faint of heart. This is for the real enthusiast driver that doesn't care about flying under the radar. They don't care how comfortable the car is at low RPMs. They want to shave as much weight off the car as they can. They want as much sound level as they can. They want the full race experience. We have a race exhaust package for those individuals. And again, not for the faint of heart at low RPMs, but boy, it absolutely rips your face off in the higher RPMs. So there's a huge spread of exhaust configurations for anybody. Again, sound's a very subjective thing. So when you give us a ring and you have your goals in mind, we'll walk you through what configuration is going to best meet the goals that you have, so you buy the right product the first time around.
Oh my God! This is crazy.